we really had to sink into that kind of mindset, because I've known Emma since she was 9, and to make it look believable was going to be a real task. But yeah, it's a nice moment.
Let's talk about the next project. What about Wartime Wanderers, or Cross Country, Comrade, or Eddie the Eagle?
Yeah, no, I do always like to do kind of other films when I can, in between Harry Potter, and it's just nice to kind of be on a different set and play a different character. And Comrade, as you mentioned, I did a couple of months ago. It's like a World War II true story. Yeah, and it was just a very different experience, and it was something I really enjoyed. Never. Do you hear me? Never.
What was the most difficult aspect to shoot?
Probably the kiss scene with Emma. Yeah, it was quite tricky actually. Just kind of. Yeah, it was very strange, but it was. I mean, it's such an important moment, really, for these characters, and yeah. So hopefully, it was okay.
Rufus has been like a brother to me, so it was obviously awkward, but we also had the added pressure of the fact that, I mean, this moment has been anticipated by fans worldwide for sort of since the last book was released, you know, since the beginning of the film franchise. So, I mean, it's a huge moment, and I think we just wanted to try and live up to that in any way that we could. So, I don't know how to put it into words. It's incredible. I mean, I'm sure that I will never experience something like this ever again in my life. It's incredible.
Yeah, I really am, because it's like it's a different. I mean, it's like I'm a different actor, I think, in Part 2 from Part 1. Part 2 is the only film out of all 7 that I can watch and go, I am really happy with my performance in it, and not that there's stuff I wouldn't do differently, but like overall, I'm pleased with the work I've done, and yeah, so it's. But I don't think at the time it was really that much of a concern, because you take it scene by scene, and when you know the story and the script as well as you get to know them over the course of doing a film, you kind of. It just becomes second nature. You know which scene you're doing the next day, and it kind of just slots into place. You know what's happening with your character at that point. You know, the interesting things are people like Alan Rickman, who knew his character arc from you know, a little while back. He knew Snape's eventual story. So I think for him it was a much more delicate balancing act of trying to constantly inform the performance with what he knew would be happening ultimately. It's meant to be.
Rubbish. You can't give yourself up to.
What's lovely is that I get a lot of people coming up to me saying, you know, you've been such a part of my childhood, and you've been so, you know, and that's just the loveliest thing to hear, and I never get tired of hearing that, because when you've been, you know, it's just a genuinely lovely thing to have brought so much entertainment and happiness and excitement and inspiration and magic into somebody's childhood. That's a lovely thing to have been able to be a part of. I also think that over the last 10 years, the fans have been gratified. I have found very gratifying the fact that you know, the quality we never stopped pushing to make each film greater than the last, and I think that kind of effort and that kind of the work that we all put in, I think shows in the films, and I think they're very grateful for that as well, and it showed that a big studio franchise movie can still have a huge amount of integrity and care and attention to detail and love put into it, and that it's not just despite the fact that they are the biggest grossing franchise of all time, it's not just a money-making machine. And because you've got a lot of young, hungry people working on that set, you know, people like myself and Rupert and Emma, but also our directors Alfonso Cuarón and David Yates and everyone in between, you know, wanting to prove that particularly for the cast, you know, wanting to prove that we're good and that we belong here and that we've learned. So I think it's been, yeah, I mean, I think the fans have reacted to that very well, at the fact that there's been just so much put into this series.
Each and every person, not only in this square but also watching around the world, who will see this film and who have followed these films over the last 10 years, will carry this story with them through the rest of their lives, and it will affect what they do. So I would just like to say a huge thank you to all of you, first of all, for giving me a job, and Joe for letting him give me a job, and it's been the most amazing, inspirational, surreal, bizarre, wonderful 10 years that I will probably ever have in all my life, and every opportunity I get from now on all comes back to the fact that I got very, very lucky when I was 11. So, thank you very, very much.
Hola Venezuela, desde Londres, en el último estreno de Harry Potter. Gracias. Excelente, J.K. Rowling, te amo.
Nunca ha habido tanto juego y nadie está a salvo, pero es Harry Potter quien probablemente tendrá que arriesgarlo todo, porque todo termina aquí. Soy Víctor X y me despido desde Trafalgar Square hasta nuestra próxima visita al set, a través de la señal de E! Entertainment Television.